Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that's both relatable and often misunderstood: why teens push away their parents in public and how to handle it without turning family life into a battlefield. So, grab your snacks, settle in, and let's explore this fascinating journey of adolescence and family dynamics. Music and background. First things first, let's talk about the elephant in the room: teenage embarrassment. We've all been there, right? Hearing that age-old, "Dad, don't say that in front of people," or, "Mom, don't kiss me in public." It's a rite of passage, isn't it? But why does it feel so intense? Well, it's all about the delicate social landscape teens navigate. During adolescence, every move is scrutinized, and the desire to belong eclipses everything else. Parents, who were once a comforting sanctuary, can suddenly become a source of deep embarrassment. Now, here's the interesting part: this isn't a sign of rejection. It's a natural part of the separation and autonomy process that defines adolescence. As psychologist Louise Guillen explains, it's about teenagers trying to build their own identity, separate from their parents. They're essentially chipping away at the perfect child image their parents built, and realizing that no one is perfect. This identity shift can make them feel vulnerable, and any gesture that makes them feel childish or exposed can spark instant embarrassment. So, what are the subtle signs that your teen feels self-conscious around you? Well, it's not always big gestures. It might show up in how they switch up their tone of voice around friends, ask you not to walk them to the school gate, or constantly police what you say in front of others. Some teens even socially edit their parents, telling them what to wear or what topics are off limits. It's all about managing their public image and maintaining their fragile sense of self. Now, let's talk about the role of identity building. Teenagers are trying to answer the question, who am I, separate from my parents? And to build their own identity, they need to distance themselves from what defined them until then. This is why they often reject exactly what they used to admire. It's not inconsistency. It's a healthy psychological process. They're exploring new tastes, styles, ideas, and affiliations without feeling like they're still so-and-so's child. But here's the catch: this doesn't mean they've stopped loving their parents. It's more about autonomy and learning to set boundaries. Teenagers don't yet know how to set boundaries maturely, so they often do it with abruptness or even unintentional cruelty. Parents might interpret this distance as an emotional loss, but the bond often remains intact. Some teens need their parents enormously on an emotional level, while feeling embarrassed by them in certain social contexts. Now, let's talk about the red flags. When does teenage embarrassment signal family distress? Well, occasional embarrassment is contextual and flexible. It appears at certain ages and in specific social settings, and it usually coexists with a healthy, affectionate relationship in private. The teenager might get irritated or distance themselves a bit, but then reconnect naturally. But sustained embarrassment is different. It's persistent rejection, contempt, or a constant need to hide their parents, which might indicate more complex family dynamics, such as excessive control, humiliation, unresolved conflicts, or fear of external judgment. Now, why does social approval carry so much weight during adolescence? Well, during this stage, the peer group functions like an emotional mirror. Teenagers' identities aren't yet consolidated, and they constantly need to check if they're accepted, admired, or excluded. Their brains are also particularly sensitive to social rewards. That's why a friend's opinion can have a disproportionate impact. Belonging is not a whim, it's experienced almost as a matter of emotional survival. That's why they fear ridicule so much. Speaking of high-risk settings, let's talk about social media and school gates. These are the places where teens feel the most anxiety. It's not because parents are being spontaneous, but because teens are still learning to maintain their own social image. They also feel very uncomfortable when parents compete for attention in youth-oriented settings. Sometimes, they're not embarrassed by what parents do but by the fear of how they'll be interpreted by other teenagers, who tend to be much crueler to each other than adults remember. Now, what emotions are behind all this? Well, it's a mix of shame, fear of ridicule, insecurity, and a need to fit in. Teenagers live in a state of self-awareness, constantly observing, comparing, and correcting themselves. Any situation that makes them feel exposed can trigger embarrassment very quickly. There's usually insecurity behind it, not arrogance. Sometimes, adults interpret certain reactions as contempt, when they're actually social self-protection mechanisms. So, what can parents do to handle these episodes without taking them personally? Well, the first thing is not to get into a battle of pride. Many conflicts worsen because adults respond from a place of hurt. Turning it into a reproach usually increases the distance. Teenage embarrassment doesn't usually come from feeling superior but from feeling extremely vulnerable. It's better to have some flexibility without losing your dignity. Understand that a teenager asking for less public exposure doesn't mean they've stopped loving their parents. Sometimes, it's enough to respect minor social boundaries without dramatizing. In conclusion, teenage embarrassment is a complex and fascinating aspect of adolescence. It's about identity building, autonomy, and the delicate balance between love and independence. As parents, it's crucial to understand that this is a natural part of their growth, and handling these episodes with empathy and flexibility can make a world of difference. So, the next time your teen pushes you away in public, remember that it's not about rejection but a journey of self-discovery. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful content. See you next time.